Good morning, everyone. We'll get started here in just a moment. So be patient. We'll get started a little bit earlier than top of the hour. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in just a moment. Getting some things organized. We'll get a little started before the top of the hour. I believe Al's going to be back with us if he can get back on United States time. So that'll be good to have him back in the room this morning. Give me a couple minutes and we'll get started. All right. If you guys can see my screen and hear my voice, just put a yes in the chat box for me, as well as those who are watching via YouTube. I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on you guys as well. Thank you very much. If one can see, then all can see. That's never a bad thing. Good morning, everybody. Let me get a couple things set up and then we'll get going. All right, let's go ahead and get this started. Jumping in a little bit earlier today, I have a class this morning and I have to drive about an hour or two. I wanted to get all the prelim done, the market weather for you guys done before jumps in. So I'm going to just make sure I kind of keep things where I can see them just in case. Golly, today's session, if I had to give it a little bit of a posture or how it looks right now, is very cautiously optimistic. Um, we definitely have some dollar bias strength, but we can't chase. I would say our main risk today is going to be around that 7:30 time frame, Central Time, when the Canadian dollar and the pound start mattering. But again, lead lesson for today. Let me just see real quick what we got here. Yeah, I will make sure I didn't miss somebody in the chat box there. I thought somebody come chatting in. Let me minimize that. Yeah, so I would say today's lead lesson, if we had a lead lesson today, is understanding the full market weather, understanding where the location is of the trades that you're looking at, and just being on the right time to be about that trend and keeping an eye on that. Again, trend is not necessarily a permission to chase it. You still want to have the structure. So let's jump right into our screens. And I would anticipate that here in a very quick moment, we're going to be seeing some an old friend pop in here. All right, let's just do our quick. I'm in a swing trade here, so it is what it is. Same thing with this one. So got in earlier this morning on the swing on a breakout, but we'll look at our market. This is our radar. This is what we always do. This is our Forex board. So again, once again, this is where we start. Just want to say good morning to everybody. Let's start with the big idea before we touch on any individual pair. Today is not a no trade type morning at all, but it's definitely not a chase morning. So we want to be very, very careful with that. There is board movement. When we look at the radar, we're noticing Hercules has some potential. We have no fives on the board, though. We have a four, a one, a four, a one, a four, a one, a two, and a one. Um, so no real clear winner that we have to rush into to try to see if we can find structure. So it does have movement. We've got some charts that look very, very tempting, but the mistake today is going to be confusing movement with quality. We don't want to do that. So we are not here to grab every yellow candle or every strong push or any particular thing that we're looking for. We're looking for some structure here. And the weather is very, very strange. So we want to find the cleanest alignment between what we know about the weather, the overall big picture, the location, and the timing where it's at. We use Sherlock. Al, you're going to start seeing Al share his fair value gap. Obviously, we use Hercules on this as well. So my personal posture this morning is just being very, very cautious. I'm going to give the dollar some respect, and we'll look at that here in a moment. That's why I'm in it, obviously. But I'm not going to treat the market like everything is clean and wide open because it's not. The dollar is strong, and gold, we'll look at gold here in a moment, is still under pressure. The oil, Brent, I'm using Brent for oil. It's not screaming panic, but it's still not giving me a whole lot of confidence. So several tradable pairs are sitting close to important decision areas, as we'll see. You can see it through Sherlock. That means we can be alert. We just got to be very, very selective. So let's look at our calendar for the day. And again, we mentioned the 7:30 hour. Quick calendar check. This is not the loudest news day we've had, but today is definitely not empty. Um, the main item for our morning window will be that CAD dollar and the pound at the 7:30 Central Time. And that makes our US CAD a watch list pair today for at least a bit. Not a pair we want to blindly just jump into without some sort of plan. After that, we have some US housing data, Chicago PMI. We do have the JOLTS. If you haven't watched the news video on YouTube that we created, this would be a good day to do that as well. And just understand those type of news items can tug on the dollar's expectations after the early part of our session, most likely. But so the first lesson is simple today. Timing does matter. Good chart 5 minutes before a major release will definitely can cause a bad trade. So we want to be careful and aware of where the news is at. Let's jump back over here and get into. I did take a position here, and I just noticed I did my 1%. I set it up mistakenly as a day trade. Fantastic. I just noticed that. It is what it is. It's a demo account. I was testing a theory of mine, but that's again, anything we do for here online today is education purposes only. We're not trying to give you signals and advice on what to buy and sell, when to buy and sell. And I just saw Hercules here, or Sherlock down here. And we're going to drop that. That's where those moved to. Now I know earlier this morning I was looking for my Sherlock and they got dragged down to the next part. Very good. So let's look at our daily Dixie here. Let's pull this up, pull it up to the day, and you can see, man, oh man, this has been good. A nice little breakout of our green line. We've got this nice, and I'm put a little happy face in there. I would still say, in my case, that was the breakout. Now I would still say that that's my happy place for that one. Let things catch up a little bit. That's our daily. You can see it's been pretty well sideways, a little higher sideways, and then a little higher. And then this is really when we started having the uptrend, when we made a slightly new high. And we made a higher low here. So this is a higher high. I would assume we could potentially come back down to here, but we don't make the prediction. But we do have this little big bar of resistance up top. I do like to jump onto the 3 day and see where everything lies. It kind of gives me a little bit bigger picture. Even the 4 day, very, very similar. And then you can go to the week if you want. and you can see how everything's kind of tiding into that, that we're inside of this, which is not freaking me out at all. But I do like the fact that we have our tide at this point even pointing upwards, and we've got some room, so that again, we are under geopolitical pressure, so we don't really know what's going to happen, nor do we really want to predict what's going to happen. But that is our dollar. I made some notes this morning on it. It is the weather captain. It's the one that's going to steer the ship. But uh, I would want to make sure that you understand that the dollar strength is extended. And I say extended, we've had quite a few moves. So be very, very careful with it. The daily chart does give us some, it's pushed above that major ceiling as we mentioned, and that could become a support area. That is not weak. The dollar's not weak right now, but the 4 hour and 15-minute price is kind of digesting all of what's going on, and you can see that's a nice little zone there. And again, we don't trade the dollar, but it kind of gives us what's going to happen, a little guide of what could possibly happen. We've got room to the downside on the dollar. So overall message, the dollar is bullish today, as far as we can tell right now, but it is extended. We want to respect the dollar, but we don't want to chase at the top of the move. So that is our dollar. Let's go to gold. Gold's interesting. Let's not look at the 15-minute because it can give you a, let's go to this position right here. There we go. Now, wow. So gold confirmed the pressure from the strength of the dollar. So what that means is it just simply is fading off due to the strength of the dollar. But the big picture is still a red. We got this little bounce happening right here at the pivot. And you can look back and see that's a key area before this move up. So we are in a very critical area for the gold position on the higher time frame. Um, Gold has been living under its ribbon that we can see with lower highs, but gold is also near that reaction bottom, that support area. So when we look at the 3 day, there it is on the 3 day. I think 4 day also has it right there. We're right there at it. So there is some support there, so we could see a bounce, and that matters because weak gold supports the dollar strength story. But a bounce from that support can make all the forex pairs go two ways for a while. And so we got to be very careful with the gold. So in this case, trend gives us the direction, which is short, but the location is not good. So we would not want to short this immediately. So we want to be very, very careful. It does look like it wants to go down. If you go down to 4 hour, a little cleaner, got some room, and it's just bouncing down, pushing, pushing, pushing. But we have a recent bounce recently. I mean, over the last overnight, I guess it would be, we had this little turn. But overall, to me, it still seems like the overall is a bearish push. Let's jump into our Brentwood oil. Was it Brentwood oil? Brentwood, that's the wrong name. That's funny. That's just funny. Okay, here we go. Again, if at the pump we're liking this, this is all this chaos, the geopolitical stuff, just nuts. Our conflict happened here and just started going real wicky, and but it's starting to settle down. Notice the candles are a little bit smaller. We're kind of settling into that lower mode. Um, it's not giving us a panic anymore. It's still weak on the higher time frames and sitting near that support. The 15 minutes, let's see what we got on the 4 hour. It's going to be the same. We're still sitting on support, nothing crazy. But again, all we need is a little bit of opening of a mouth in our discussions today, and this could go a completely different direction. So just be prepared for that. Um, that geopolitical backdrop is still really alive and kicking here. We want to make sure that we fully understand that. Um, Goodness, it's just typical oil, and mainly the geopolitical is definitely around that U.S. Iran headline permit stuff. So it's definitely not acting like a full oil panic. Al, can you mute your? You got some overlay sound coming through your monitor there. And that keeps us from overreacting. If we keep an eye on the oil, it keeps us from overreacting emotionally on this. I just don't. Just watch the headlines. Respect the risk that's coming. It's going to happen. Again, we're going to move into just looking at our radar screens once again. Moving this back to the U.S. yen. And look, we've got a four, a one, a four, a two, a three, a one, a two. There's nothing right now that we need to be rushing into. Again, both of these were set up as swing. This is actually a day trade setup by mistake, not reading my numbers, but it's again on a demo platform. So let's look. We checked our gold, we checked our dollar, we checked our oil, and it sounds like we're checking a car. But we've got some positions we can potentially look into. Um, but that's our weather. We want to look at our wisest. That U.S. yen is is still part of our weather. So when we're looking at our weather, we're looking at gold, the dollar, oil. You can throw the triple Qs in there if you want to, but we also include the pound yen and the U.S. yen as our big picture moves. So when we're looking at this as a daily, it's not going to look much different than our dollar because that's what's really driving this thing. And you can see the big candles we've had and how it's really kind of got real nice and tight, sliding up. And it came down to an area that I liked for a swing, and I jumped on it and ended up mistakenly taking it for a day trade. In my live account, it's normal, so we're okay there, but on here, it's not. So it's okay. So going to the 4 hour, you'll see what I'm talking about. I came into a support area. It came back down to this point right here. I got it a little later than I wanted to, but it still was valid to me. And once I reach a certain point, I'll close this out on here just so it doesn't mess our data up. Looking at the 15-minute chart, you can just still continually see the US yen is one of the cleanest trends that we've seen recently. It's also one of the easiest charts to chase very, very badly. So our daily and 4 hour charts is very, very simple. A better entry for me would have been a little lower down on the candle. We did that last night. Actually took a trade last night, got in and out in the Asian session, which was very nice to do. Um, but let's just be real honest. The daily 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute, they're all holding that bullish structure. Hercules is still supporting um, the swing trade for me. Not so much on the I don't have enough Hercules strength for my day trade. That's why I'm not real happy with this one. But um, I don't want to first run the emotional buy at the very, very top of the candle. We'll wait for it pull back. I'll probably go into that here momentarily with a fair value gap, probably down in this area where the pivot low is at. I'll let him discuss that. But we definitely want to be doing a pullback and let it rebuild. Better trade after a reset kind of. Worst trade, getting long at the very, very high simply because it looks strong and fear missing out. These on the 15-minute look really, really ugly, these wicks. But it could grind, but who knows. So let's move over to our pound yen briefly, and then we'll get Al rolling in here with his stuff as he prepares. Again, this is pretty simple. You're into daily supply. There's nothing really that just says screaming at you to be a part of the pound yen. It's high. It definitely has high potential, but it's definitely not clean. Um, it's pressing into that major ceiling, and that can turn into a strong breakout if it does break out. But we have to get through that ceiling first. Um, but it can also reject it very hard. So correct read here is buy, not to buy it just because it is moving. You want to wait for that to do something with this. So looking at the daily, you can see the same problem with I'm waiting for the breakout here. You can see I'm just waiting. And then go down to that 1 hour. You can see it still. And then we go into our 15-minute. And you can tell we are not in any position to trade it at a one. It's not there. And so that's the pound yen as we look quickly through that. I do want to address the US CAD because we've been waiting on this even since last week. Notice, remember last week we put this line in here, this blue line alert, and we were sitting right around here. We pulled back in, pulled back into the trend down, and it's gone down since then. But this was the mark that I had made for a breakout. And now we're kind of creeping back out into this again. I got alert set here. If it comes through there, then I potentially could have a breakout move, not using a tide fusion or anything like that, but a true breakout move. Because if you look at this on the bigger picture, you can see, I don't know why that line's like that. That just tells me my line's off a little bit. It shouldn't be slanted. but I'm not worried about it. We've got this little thing we've got to break through. I still think we're going to have some resistance. Great buy opportunity on Tide Fusion here. That worked out real well. Um, but at 4 hours, same thing. You can see we still need to break out that top red ribbon, greens flat. So we've got a little bit of a battle here, but you can see nice small candles just chugging right along. Absolutely gorgeous. That's why I think this has been the greatest one recently, and that's all due to oil. That's why oil is so important right now. We're going to watch that and see how that goes today. My bet is going to be the same nonsense we've had because I'm not so sure our what do you call it? Our other position of this in the other side of the world is really truly committed to any sort of relief. I think they want to drag this thing out, but all right, so let's look at our other pairs, just kind of getting a big picture look. We've got the Euro US. These are the dollar pairs, the Euro US, Pound US, Aussie US, whichever one you like. The weakness is definitely real, and that's because of that dollar strength. Um, but there's really nothing to jump on yet. We're sitting at a 2 on the Euro US. We're sitting at a 1 on the Pound US, and the Aussie US is just sitting here at a 4, but it's sitting inside the wrong. So its location is horrible. So there's really nothing at this point to just want to jump. Again, we don't want to chase. We don't want to force a trade. We want let things happen. We've already covered that. We've covered that. And yeah, so we're all good on our briefing for the day. Let me move over to any sort of news item I've got. Al, I just want you guys to know that I am streaming this on the YouTube channel as well. So I will monitor that for you once I get over there and find it. Let me find it. There we go. And we're good there. So I'll watch the chat over on that side. At the same time, you guys can do your thing here. So I'm going to make sure that we're covered. How are we doing now? You're up and moving this morning. Hopefully, a little bit more involved in your time change.
Yeah, I'm trying to re-enter into the, the old life again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
What time is your body saying it is right now?
my body doesn't know what time it is right now. I did get up this morning, which is actually not too bad. I'm normally uh, 2 days ago it would have been like let's see what time is it now? 7 o'clock. So it'll be about 1 in the afternoon over in Europe. So anyway, I'm back home and it was a great vacation. And thank everybody for uh, understanding that it was nice for me to get away, and thank you again for Brian and Debbie for filling in for me while I'm gone. I'm still trying to re-engage, so bear with me today because I'm just basically looking at my charts for the first time since I traveled back. We got back Sunday night, spent the night in Raleigh. We did get on the flights and we did make a same day service, but it was interesting travel, but it was good.
Good.
So anyway, the only thing I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at the Aussie US. Seems like the spread was pretty good. It's starting to, but right now it's not really in a good spot. I mean,
You want to share your screen
yeah.
instead of mine?
Let me go and share my
Let
screen
me
here.
stop sharing mine here. There we go.
Oh, it's there, and going to screen number
Things
6
being
here.
recorded from my screen. So when I get ready to
Okay.
go to school, I'll just stop recording and let your session go.
Okay. Now I just see just this last 15-minute candle. We did get a buy. I did get a little buy bubble here on the 15 minute, and that looks like that was right here. See, I think that looks like that was a today's
Remember that Tide Fusion is set
today
with its
is
own
today
numbers.
oh, today is the 30th, isn't it?
Yep, today is the 30th.
Oh, yeah, okay, lost a day there. Aussie US on the 15 minute 5:30. My times may be a little bit messed up right now with the time with my computer. I had to change my zones. Interesting. When I was in Germany, I had to change the zones on TradingView for the current GMT time. But the computer was on the local time, but I had to change the TradingView, and there was a little bit of a discrepancy there. But anyway, right now I see a little buy bubble here. The only thing I don't like about this one, we do have a nice spread. We do have a 6-2 spread. It was under the last candle, it was actually a about 7-1 or 6-1. Spread's okay, but it's right up here in the supply zone. We do have some good uh, momentum going, but I'm a little bit leery about not getting that breakout. But this is a nice little candle there. We do have these. Let me see if, on a 1 hour chart. Let's see where the zones are. We're right in the middle of a 1 hour zone. This is a 1 hour wick. So I would be a little bit concerned about trying to take that on the breakout because there isn't that much room for the trade to be taken. There is my wick right up into that wick area. We do have a little bit of a gap right here, not much of one. And come back to my 15 minute. And this is just strictly the chart analysis that I look at. I do like the fact that we have, if we can break through this, we have room to the upside. But if I were to take a buy right on this candle, this would be the area that the candle is telling me that there's the buy, and see what kind of room we have to the upside. Spread that out a little bit and go with a long. If we did a long trade on this with a 17 pip target, 17 and a half pip target, and a 14 pip top, there's a lot of room on that, but we need to get some. This even like a 10 pips would be right about to here for our first target, right about there, and that would, it was going to have to break this and come back, and it's got this other little Sherlock zone right there too. So I'm going to pass on this right now. I'd like to see these be a little bit closer to where the ribbons and the tide bubbles, tide dots are. But this was a nice little where it kind of broke the. Let's see, where is that? That's a fast stop, pivot high. Yeah, it kind of broke the pivot high on this one, so it is breaking through that, but it's sort of stalling right into this little supply zone. So I'm going to pass on this one. Just again, I'm just trying to re-engage into what the market's telling me, what the charts are looking like, and get my brain re-engaged with what I'm seeing. Aussie
I agree
US,
with you. It's now 6-3.
yeah. So it's this is, but it did pop down. It is pulling back. This one, it is kind of go trending together. I do like the fact that it is. Yeah, it's just not a real high confirmation. If I go, a lot of times too, I like to see where the 4 hour wicks are on this.
Is your Hercules set on fast as well, Al?
That's a good question. Let me see if
Oh,
I
that's why
change.
I asked.
Yeah, I know it
Okay, so you're using
fastest and yeah, fastest. I got on the fastest. The
and
Sherlock
I've been using moderate and fast. I did not go too.
moderate and fast. Okay. I do have the Sherlock on extra strong, so that one's
Yeah,
you said you have it on what? You had it on
fast.
just fast, not fastest.
Fast. Yeah, not fastest. I found last week when I had on my live account using fastest, it was just flipping all over the place.
Uh-huh. No, that's
And
let's
I'm
see
not
what we
scalping,
see
so
what we have here. This is I'm looking for my 4 hour candle right now. Let me get the Sherlock over here. And my 4 hour candle, this is actually the higher 4 hour wick right up in this area. This is a 1 hour. We are right in this wick area right here. So, and the Sherlock was selling, but some resistance in there. So I'd be a little bit concerned. Now and there's no gap with this bearish candle. The gap was filled, so there's no 4 hour gap there. So that means it came up there and it was retesting this area right in here. So I think this is a significant area. If it breaks through the top of that, then we may have some room to the upside.
your overall trend is down though.
The overall trend is, well, let's see, right now the Aussie was strong, but the dollar is starting to come back up. I would expect this thing may come back and retest. I'm more thinking that this thing may go ahead and retest the bottom of that. It's not really, it's kind of in a range right now.
You're 1 hour and 4 hour on a downtrend.
1 hour and 4 hour on it down. Let's see
That's what
here.
I'm talking. Your bigger picture.
Yep. Retraced. Yep, it is on the higher time. It is on the downtrend. But this is that wick over wick. So this is actually a 4 hour wick over wick. I'll label that here. 4 hour wick over wick right there. That's on a 4 hour, but it's on a 15-minute chart. So that's an area where I think it's going to probably come back and retest. So I'd be more apt to be we're looking to see when the U.S. market opens up in another couple hours. We may start seeing that pullback to retest this area down in here. So right
Yeah.
now I'm just going to keep my powder dry and wait. Let's
Yeah,
see
there's
what
not a whole lot on the market right now. We even talked
this.
about that earlier when we opened the session. There's just not. And
It
so
was, at
just
four.
because we're sitting here doesn't mean we want to chase a trade.
That's exactly right. And so on the US yen, this was at 415. We had a, let me see, what's this? This is Sentinel. That's the Sentinel at 415. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see if my computer here is set up correctly with the times. Oh, this one's not. Okay, so we got to change this. This is what I was talking about when I was over in, I was using the Berlin time, and I have to change this back to the US Open, New York. And because the alerts go with the time that the alert was set based on the computer, but I got to get the charts on the right time frame here.
Isn't it great?
415, 15 minute. This is Sentinel. 15. So I'm still not right here with my times. I'm trying to figure out why I'm getting the Aussie US here. This was at 5:30. Where's 5:30 is
Yeah, that's out of my league there. I don't know.
well, that's June 30. I got to figure out. I got to see where the things because I had the same problem when I went over to Germany, and now I'm seeing it by 5:30 on the 30th. Who's the 30th? So 5:30. Yeah, I should have an alert right in there, and I'm not seeing this. So something's not quite right with my chart here. One that I've really noticed with my tide settings is that when I like seeing when we have a break above the dots, a close, and have a green ribbon. That's usually a pretty good time. That would be if I were up at this time. And this is early in the morning. That would have been a trade that probably would have been a reasonable trade to take. Um, Using my 10 pip target, 14 pip stop to start off with my first process. I would have gotten filled right about in this on this candle. It would have been pretty much filled that one. We are in this wick over wick. Back to these Sherlock zones and see where we're at with Sherlock again. You can see this Sherlock zone is being respected. If we can get a pullback to like in this area right here, now we do have a wick over wick. We do have a gap right in this area right here. There's a gap. Here's the first candle, second candle. There's the gap area right here. This is a 15-minute bullish gap. Fair value gap long. And so on this candle right now, if it were to come back and pull in, if we had the Hercules still saying, give us our five spread, and we can get this thing to pull back, still get the spread, I could possibly get into this trade with a long position right about in this area right here. And if I have my 10-pip range, and I still don't have the range because of this supply zone. So it's still not be a trade. It still wouldn't be a trade. It would have to get all the way back down, more down into this area here before I could take that long. It looks like there's a lot of room, but really it's really tight because you figure 10 pips. This is only 10 pips. It's got a long way to go to make that to get that target, and it's got some rebar to get through. And I also like to look and see where there's a bearish gap on the other side to where this thing would give up where it reversed back. I'm not seeing any gaps here, so that's still yeah, I think we're just going to hold off on this one. There's nothing that's compelling. Nothing. And you can see right now the dollar is starting to challenge the Aussie. That's the blue Hercules versus the green. And as that happens, if we can get a bearish gap, so like right now it's starting to set up with a bearish gap here. And that might be a good sign to maybe start looking for that reversal. 15 minute. Oops, wrong one. 15 minutes short.
Oh,
The reason why I'm looking at that is here's just so everybody understands what I'm talking about with these fair value gaps. Is basically it's a three candle formation. You have a wick, you have a large extended range candle, and then once that candle closes, which would be right, once this candle closes, the next candle will retrace back. If it retraces back to where that wick is, the gap no longer exists. But after this candle closes and opens up a new candle and it retraces back, say maybe to this part, then that would be your gap. And then once you come, if it's so this extended range candle can come back down, then it can maybe come back, retest that gap, and then it would be given a possibility for a short. But Hercules has to be on board with it. And one thing I don't like so much is I'd like to see this thing reversing more like up in this area here where it comes breaks through that. We got the red dots, we got the red ribbon, and like this gap right here, this is a nice little gap just to give you some information on what I'm talking about with fair value. There's the wick, here's candle one, here's the close of candle two, here's the wick of candle three, and then right there is your fair value gap. And you can see where this thing will probably, where it came back, formed the gap, came back, tested it, dropped off again. And we'd be looking at the same type of thing for it to go short, is to have it come back, close, form a gap, come back, close below the gap, come back, retest that gap, and then fall off when you have the spread. And you can see over here with this area right here, you have a nice area where the dollar is strong, Aussie's weak. You got a 7-1 spread, then that would make for a really nice little trade right there. And so I'm looking at the same type of formation over on in this area where we can see, now we know that this gap got broken on this move up, but now we're looking at the form maybe perhaps another bearish gap right around in this area. And we're going to wait and see.
yeah, it all comes back to that dollar.
Yeah, how's the dollar doing? What's the dollar index today?
Dollar's rough, man. It's obviously bear or bullish. We've talked about that this morning, where you look at the big picture. It's definitely been on a bull ride, but it's all news driven. So, looking at the daily chart, let me go back over here. You don't have a Dixie up, do you?
Well, I can probably find it here someplace. Where did I put it? That might be on a different chart.
Yeah, I have it popped up, and you can see you've had some good dollar strength. Phew, let's see, since when? Probably started in beginning of the year overall. Had some uptrend, but we just broke through a major ceiling and it's pulled
Hey,
back.
let me get the Dixie up here. This
Type in DXY. There you go.
DXY
That's
right
it.
here. There we
Yep.
go.
Go to your daily.
Daily Dixie.
Yeah,
Here
you
we
start
go.
with daily on this one.
Just so everybody knows, Brian's been working on some things of uh, trying to get some clarification on some of the fundamentals of what the markets are doing, and I'm trying to get caught up with what he's been doing since I've been away. He's been working hard on this.
So squish and squash more. You want to have more than a week,
So there's a day.
a month or two. And that gives you the overall, okay, what are we doing with the dollar? Notice he's coming up on his dollar. He's got support below. So my guess is we're going to be bouncing today. That if again, we
Bouncing off
can't
of
make
here, so
predictions.
dollar gets strong. So dollar gets strong, then that's going to mean that Aussie yen
It's going
or
to go
Aussie
down.
U is going to go down. Yep.
Yep. And that's the key of understanding the dollar is if you look at what it's doing, the overall pushes up. You just created a nice rally base, rally below price. It came down and touched it, and now it's reacting to that support zone. Unless there's some sort of news that comes out from Trump or this talk that they're supposed to have with Iran, the US dollar should be poised to continue moving up today. And if it moves up just to the pivot high alone, then our 15-minute charts will react the same in kind, and those US pairs like the Aussie US will go down because the dollar will be stronger.
Yeah, what they have been finding out is just following with the strength or weakness of the dollars works pretty well with a lot of these other pairs as opposed to some of the other cross pairs
Yeah.
like the Aussie yen, or I mean, the dollar has been pretty much the controlling factor of what's going on, and a lot of that has to do with the oil situation and how
And we
well the
call it
world
the captain.
how well the world likes the dollar.
Yeah, and this is what right now this current the Dixie's been called the captain of our weather. It's not
Uh-huh.
always the captain, but right now it's flying the plane.
It
And
is
right
flying the
behind
plane.
it is
Yep.
oil.
Yep.
And then the gold is actually reacting to both the dollar and the oil, and which is kind of odd. It's usually not that way.
Let's see what this looks like here. It's kind of flat. In dollar strength, though.
Yeah, yeah. And that's your weather for your dollar.
Yeah.
But it affects everything in our currency pairs. I mean, there's not one that's not really. Euro pound kind of can get away with not having news from the U.S. dollar, but most of the other ones. So if the dollar is kind of sitting with no real momentum strength, then you can pretty much bet that you're not going very far.
Let's see. We were looking right now, the Aussie and the British is pretty weak. Let's take a look at the Aussie British just for a something to take a look at here. Aussie, British, not British, Aussie, British, Aussie. And I'm seeing that we have a 7-0 spread on this. We did have the cross, so we are saying that the Aussie is strong to the British pound. It's got their problems going on right now. Um, Here we go. We have the ribbon crossed over. I do like, and we did get a fast sell here. And this fast sell, now again, when I looked at one thing I've been putting on my charts here is I like to put a 5 level and a 1 level on my Hercules, and that way I can see if that way I can tell pretty easily whether or not I got that 5 pip spread between the 5 and five and a 1 or a 5. I want to see the strong being above the 5 and the 1 being below the 1. That's what I'm looking at. But here we had a nice little crossover. Let me just show you what I look at with as I've been looking at with these tides. We have the tide. Now this thing where over here we have the ribbon turned red, but we don't. And when we get they close below that ribbon, right about on that candle right here. This has actually been working out pretty well for me. And then I say, okay, that's my trigger. Then the question is, do I have enough room with the Sherlock? And so right here, if I took this trade short, so I always got to have a red ribbon. I have it below the green. Now the green dots are still showing that that's still going up, so there could be a little bit of a pullback. The question is, would I have 14 pips above that area? And so I'd be looking at a short in this area. This is how I set up my charts. And this would be first one would be a 14 pip. Now you can see with this one right now, if I would have gotten in with that combination. Now the biggest question here, we had a 7 on this candle. Let me show you my charting process here. A little small here, a little bigger. There you go. If I look and see where my Hercules is, that's a 7 and a 3. So they've been kind of a marginal. They've been really aggressive with that. But as I move this thing over, if I can get closer to a 7-1 spread. So here's a 7, 7-2. That's still a 5-point spread. At this point, I would be willing to take it. I'd have 14 pip risk, 10 pip target. Here's my first target. And now I've got my 17. Actually, this thing will just taken off. Now they're looking at the time of day. That's at 7:15. It was 7:15 on the 30th. Why is that? Oh, wrong one. Here we go. Got to change this back to US again. I've been at 1 o'clock this morning, and I've been in the middle of the night. But that's what I prefer taking the trades when they get this crossover for the direction that it's headed. When it's way up here and the dots and this are way down below, I hesitate going long because it's got such a far way to be able to. I'd rather get the pullback. Now here you see where it was green, it turned red. That was the close below. But look at but it was also showing that the Aussie was strong. So there again, it wouldn't want to be taking that short with that type of formation. The Hercules is still the guiding light, so to speak, to the go or no go. That's usually the final decision is whether Hercules is on board or not. Anything you have to add there, Brian?
No, I mean, there's just nothing to chase.
Yeah,
And this is a lot of things that we saw last week. We either were able to quickly get into a very obvious trade, or we sat and did nothing. So at 7 o'clock, we kind of walked away, which was really kind of a nice thing.
yeah.
We had 3% last week, so it's not like we didn't make money.
And this is basically I'm looking at with the Hercules. I like to see when I have the same currency strong. Now this one's the Aussie strong on 3 of the 4 charts. Number 2 here on the 5 minute. This one's going to change the most frequently. You can see where the British pound is weak, 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 weak. So the Aussie British is not a bear, but you have to get the right
You have a 5 spread on the pound US now.
on the pound US.
At least on
Let me
my
get this
numbers.
in. Let me get this
Got to
in.
make sure
So,
it can make the 10 pips. That's what I'm doing right now to see if it can make it.
which one? What's he looking at? The pound what?
Pound US,
Pound US.
and it can. So I'm going to quickly get in.
Pound US. Here we go. Pound US.
There we go. I'm in this trade. We do
Okay,
have
we got
coming out, so we got to
nice
get.
spread. The pound is strong on the chart or weak on all the charts. So we do have the cross right there. This is we have a red, 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 red crossover. I like this candle right there. We will watch it, but right now we have the confirmation. And we have, let's see, this candle right there. Let's see where the spread is on that one. This would be the open, got the spread. Candle before, or the open, didn't quite get the spread. Let me make this a 5. This one a 1. Right, this candle did not have it, now we do. On the open of this candle, and we could do a sell, and I do with a sell.
And I was going to
Standards.
ask you too. I'm now in this. I need to know how to automate getting out.
We can, well, let me go through the process with this one right now.
Because I just went ahead and entered. I've got my alert set to let me know when to get out. But I remember before you left that you were able, once you were in it, you just set up.
Yeah, so right now I'm just going to do a sell market. I got 1% risk. Stop is going to be 14. And I'm going to sell.
Do you not put your target in?
I'm going to do that now. The target is going to be 10 pips. So right now, I'll just go back to this one to protect. The target is going to be take profit. Where's my
17.
Let me get this right here.
I was able to figure out how to put in my stop and put in my target, but I would love to be able to, when it hits that 10 pip mark, to automatically have it take it so I don't have to do it.
Yeah, I can do it. And I'll show you how to set this thing up. Okay, right now I'm in this trade. I'm going to set my template up for the for my short. I have a template set. It just goes. I'll start this up. I have a template set for these for a sell. Okay, I got in right here. And my template says is for the target of 10 pips. My stop is up here. That's right here. So that's good. My target is, my first target is 10 pips, which is right there. And so what I'm going to do is, now right now I'm just going to, I mean, I can do it exactly if you want, but I'm going to round it off to say roughly 60,000 units. So 15,000 units would be the first 25%. So I'm going to modify this, and then over here where it says take profit, which would be right here, and 50,000 units. So I'm going to change this to 15,000. I'm just rounding it off here. And then the take profit on the second position. Let me add this, confirm it. Where's my confirm?
So you don't put your target in at the very, very beginning for this very reason.
Well, let me just close this out. Let me redo this so you can see what I.
Because
At the
I'm
very,
already in and I don't.
at the very beginning. Okay, the first target. See, at the very beginning. Let me just confirm this here. Okay, so right now this is my first. Let me close this one out. Okay, so right now I don't have a target in here, but at the very beginning, I would have this at the 10, at the 14,
Correct.
and this would be at the roughly at the 17.
Correct.
Okay, so let me put this on the 17 here.
That's what I'm on.
Okay, so this one's going to be at 17 pips. I'll make this 17 pips. So here's this is my ultimate target. So here's my stop target, 17 pips, and I confirm it.
Correct. And that's where I'm
Okay,
at right now.
that's where we are right now.
Uh-huh.
So now with this one, you'll see there's another take profit and another stop loss here.
Okay.
So I'm going to change this to the 10 pips,
Okay.
10 pip target. So I'm going to move this one down to 10 pips.
I'm gonna move that one down to 10 pips. Okay.
And I can move the stop up to 14 pips. But now you see this is TP1 with only one unit. This one's
Hold on.
TP.
No, mine didn't do that. So I'm gonna discard. So when I'm on mine and I pull to T, I didn't get anything pulled up. Mine just I have to modify it, don't I?
Yeah, you have to, well, it will automatically modify for you. If I exit out, again, here's
Okay.
the
Okay. I'm on this
first
window.
target set. The first target set, okay, for
Correct.
17 and a half pips.
Correct.
The second target, you move down to the TP1. Now you can see it shows plus 0 units because it only has one unit. And this is the TP1. So this one here is this one.
Mm-hmm.
This one, the TP, where it's TP1 at 10 pips, is this one, but I'm only looking at 10 units. So I'm going to pull up my calculator, and we have 59,134. So we have 59,134, and you multiply that times 0.25.
Okay.
That's 25%. So my TP, so this one is TP1 now is going to be 14,7, we'll go say 784. Okay. So I'm going to make this one, what did I say, 14,784? 14,784. So I'll make this 14,784.
Okay.
And so that's what used to be TP, is TP1. And we hit OK.
And just
And
click
then we go,
confirm.
now this one, the second one, we have to subtract 14,784.
Okay, that's what I wasn't doing.
So now we go with memory recall.
I could get my calculator out to myself, so
I'm going to clear this and go. So 59,134, 59,134 minus memory recall. So now this one is going to be 44,350.
okay. So I changed that one to mine.
Now both of these should add up to 15,134.
Okay, and then you confirm it.
Confirm it. Confirm it. So now we have basically two trades in. We have one 25% at the 10 pip. We have put both my stops at the same place. And I've got target 1. Here's target 2.
Okay, so that's all that matters.
Now you can save this. What I usually do is let me just do a whole another market one here. So let's say I want to sell. And let's say I want to sell at the market. If I want to sell at the market, I've got this already set up where you can save an order preset. And I'm going short with a buy stop, or rather short with a short on the market. I would just click that, And it will give me, I'm going to put my 1%, 17, and 14, and then I can just click. That's kind of an automated thing. So I've got this set up for a short market, a short sell stop, and a buy stop, a buy market, a buy limit, and a short limit. Those are the three. You have short market, short stop, short limit, and then you have a buy stop, buy market, buy limit. And that way, if I'm going to do a limit sale, I just come over, I can just do the preset, and it should already be all set up for that 1% for whatever the account is.
Much to learn, Obi-Wan.
And then we'll just take these off because this is what I was playing with there. So here's the entry. This is what I would consider the ideal entry with that candle. Now, what you could always do, now you can see, as you're looking at this, Hercules is on board, so that's a good thing. I also have a fair value gap. If you spread this out and you see where here's candle 1, candle 2, this is candle 3. So my fair value gap is the wick of the candle 1, the body of candle 2, and then the highest wick on candle 3. And right there you have a 15-minute bearish fair value gap. If I get this thing. So here's the wick. Here's the retracement. And now with this trade, I have a gap. Here's what I like about this right now. We have red dots. We have a red ribbon. We have a close below everything. So right now this was my ideal close. This is my ideal candle on the close. Actually, this was the candle right here. This was the ideal candle on this open right there on this candle. We had the spread. This would be my ideal entry. We also have a gap. Now we just took a market entry, right? Where's the market? Right, yeah, right here. So we just took a market entry right here. Now you can see it's pulling back. So it's going against us right now. But if it pulls back into this gap, if it comes up, wicks up, and can't close into the midpoint of this gap, I would be inclined to take a second position on this. And then I go through the same process. But then I have 2 trades. Push on US dollar. I could get this thing on 2 pips, the right pips. Body simple. Get this on 4 pips. So I do like this area since, we did a market entry because we figured it had a nice momentum. We still have a 5-0. So the British pound right now, this is just a small pullback. But if it were to pull back into this area, I would be tempted, as long as I had the spread with Hercules, I would be tempted to take a second position. That would dollar cost average this thing up to maybe about here, and then that would give me 2 separate trades combined into one with 7-pip target or 14-pip or 17-pip target. But we'll wait and see how this thing goes. Right now, it's just doing what it does. But there's our entry. Stop still the same. And we still wait. I like the spread. The dollar's still strong. British pound's still weak. We had a nice little pullback. It is trending, and it's starting to build some gaps. Now with this candle right here where we entered, this was we actually entered on this candle with a market order all the way down here. So you can see where we didn't get a great fill on it because we jumped in with the market order. Right now we have a little bit of a wick over wick right in here. Here's the long wick, came back, retested the gap. So right here we have a wick over wick. So that kind of sort of gives you almost like a drop, a base, and potential drop again. So this area right in here is still pretty significant as far as I'm still feeling pretty good about this trade. because it hasn't penetrated this one and it hasn't penetrated this little area right in here. This is actually a good little zone right in this area right here to be looking for a confirmation that it's still going in the right direction.
I'm gonna step away real quick, Al.
Okay. And Debbie, how are you doing this morning? Good to
I'm
see you
doing
back.
well. Welcome back.
Thank you. So I wasn't quite ready to leave, but once we leave, we're ready to get back.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I'm just sort of label this thing as like a watch area. And this is sort of what I do. I just sort of keep watching things and keep seeing if there's any other trades that develop, see if things start to change dramatically on the lower Hercules time frames. But you can see it. Let's see where's my Hercules here, and you can see that Hercules, the Aussie's still strong, the British pound's still weak. The dollar is still strong. British pound, but again, British pound is still pretty much now. It's got a little bit of a pullback here on the 5 minute, but we don't worry about that too much. These three are the main ones saying that this pound's not going anywhere right now. So anything that you trade against the pound, Aussie would probably be a decent trade against the pound. Dollar, good trade against the pound. CAD, I wouldn't probably do it right now. I said we didn't get a great entry here when we jumped in with the market order. But we're still okay. It still has good downward. And if it comes back down, if it comes back down here and bounces back up again, you may want to just rethink the position. But right now, everything's still on board. You can see where my 1 hour Sherlock is. And you can see that it's way up here. And there's a nice, so right now we have the supply on the 1 hour, demand on the 1 hour. We got lots of room to the downside. And have lots of room for, it's kind of in the middle right now. Let me see where Atlas is. This on the Atlas lines. Yeah, right between the green and the red, right between the blue. This is between the, yeah, see, it didn't quite get up to the, I would like to see it possibly get up into this area, but if it breaks through this one, it could do something to the downside. But right now it's kind of in a neutral area as far as Atlas goes. It's that these blue lines are generally bounce points. We'll see what it does. Go back to my 15-minute. Again, you see that right now this candle we still have another 6 minutes on this 15-minute candle. You see it came up, and right now came up into that little wick area. Wick over wick, and this is sort of the midpoint of all that.
I still think this is going to show dollar strength and this thing's going to collapse.
Yeah, I think so too.
When you look at the Dixie, it's doing exactly what you'd expect it to do. A little bit of a weakness at the top, but nothing crazy.
So this just looks like just a nice little pullback.
Yeah.
This would have been a much better entry than what we got with the market. And a lot of times you rather, oftentimes I don't take those market entries like that. I'll see where the ideal candle is, which was this candle right up here. And then I'll wait and see if I can get a pullback into like a gap area. And this is the fair value gap, 15-minute fair value gap here. That's a short. We've got this our entry down there. So like this area right in here, I would with this being the ideal candle where we had the spread. And that was at the open of this, at the open, actually even at the close of this candle is not too bad. That was that when that closed, it somewhat confirmed the entry there. It's out of the way, so I get. So this is the candle that closed. When that closed, it confirmed the spread. If it can pull back into that area, we have a gap above it. If it can pull back in that area, this would have been the area to maybe put that for a limit order, a limit sell right up into this area.
Just understand that the pound right now, they're still having people speak. So yeah, whatever you want to think about that. Nowadays, anytime anybody speaks, things move. Canadian dollar news at 7:30, by the way, Al.
7, it is the
8:30 your time.
Yep, I see that.
Yeah, just so you're aware.
That's the only red folder that I'm seeing today.
Except for the people speaking. And now we found that even though they don't color red, anytime somebody opens their mouth and says something that probably shouldn't, which is always great when you're relying on a politician to keep their mouth closed.
Yeah. So I still like this. And if we look over here to the left, you also see that here was this is something to perhaps be aware of as well. You see this nice long extended range candle. This is a bullish fair value gap right here. Here's the wick. There's the candle 2. Here's the candle 3. There's the wick. And right there would be a bullish 15-minute fair value gap. Now, especially when you have like this, you got this pullback and then this thing just took off. You could also even look like this is where that gap kind of broke from that area. And if you come over here, you can see that this thing broke it, but it didn't go in, it didn't. So that would have been something to perhaps be a qualifier. You can see where it came back down, bounced off, came back down, bounced off. But this was a strong bullish candle right through there. This was actually the gap, the fair value gap, but this would be the pivot that it broke, retraced back into this area. Let's remove that here. Don't want to clutter my chart up too much. And if we get stopped out, we get stopped out. But right here is it. But right here is it. There's a gap right here. It's got 2 of them actually. Here's candle 1. Here's candle 2. Here's candle 3. Here's the gap. So we have 2 gaps. You can see how this thing whipped up. So far, it's not closed above this gap. If this gap breaks, this one is more likely to hold. If we get stopped out, we get stopped out, but it may give us an opportunity to get back in again. You can see the Hercules is starting to consolidate a little bit. And the British pound is starting to get a little bit stronger on the 15-minute. Whether you can see, did not get a close below this. This thing came back down, wicked through it, but did not close above the midline. This thing could very well reverse. But that doesn't mean it's more than likely it's just going to go sideways for a bit. And we have news at 8:30. So that news is Canadian news, which shouldn't really, it may or may, it may affect the dollar some. But we'll just put down, just mark this thing as news. And then 9:30 is when the US market opens up. And that's right where this is all set. So and we are coming into that 8:30 to 9 o'clock pullback, which is kind of what we're looking at right here. And that still doesn't mean it's not going to go short. You can see right now we have a 5-2 spread, so I don't want to be taking this at this point, even though I'd be kind of curious to see how these candles, if they can close above the midpoint of these two gaps. But it did break a pivot low, and it is trending to the downside. This is where you can get scared out, and you start thinking that, or it just takes your stop. I actually like my stop a little bit above the second gap area, but I'm just going to let it go. If it takes it, I'll take the hit. But if it gives me a chance to get back in again, I may reassess. Right now, the stop is still not in a bad spot. It's still within the rules of our 14 pip. This was our entry. Now, if we had waited and taken the entry here, we'd still have all this area up here to as a buffer. You can see it's starting to reverse now. I generally don't take market orders, especially when you have a long candle like that. But it could have closed pretty. I mean, it was just opening; it was just going. But you see, it's starting to. The gap is holding.
Dollars is the strength.
Yeah, and we got dollar strength again, British pound weakness. So that was just a pullback.
Let's see what we got here. Getting close.
And there's nothing wrong about just waiting. When you get these, when you get your ideal candles and it starts running off, there's a pretty high average chance it's going to come back and retest that candle, which is exactly what this thing did. So rather than doing a market order here, I would have had a buy limit. Let me just show you how to do that buy limit then. This is just for educational purposes only. I
gotta pop out of here, guys.
Okay.
Off to school I go.
All right. Have a good day there, Brian.
You too. We'll talk to you later on the afternoon.
Thanks for your help.
Bye.
No worries.
So if I want to do a buy limit on this ideal candle, I would just go with a right click, a buy or sell limit rather. I'll go right. I may have to move this out of the way here. Go sell limit. And that would be right there. And I would sell there and take profit at the 10 pips. Stop loss at the 14. And I would, what's my, hit the sell. That would put my sell limits set up. Here's my 10 pips. Set this to 15 or 17.5. This would be my the 58.70.92. That'd be down there. 10 pips would be right here. And we would change that to modify that. And that would be for, I'm just going to round this off to 15,000. So it'd be, this one would be 43792. This would be 15,000. And this one would, second one would be 58,792 minus 15,000 would be 43,792. And now we confirm. And that's how that would be set up. So right now I have a sell limit, target 1, target 2. I got to change this other one down to, yes, right, yeah, target 2. That's how you do that. Let's take this all off in this order. She finally turned pro. Now to see the stage worthy of her talent. That's all that baby. Yeah, I meant to, that's why I was trying recording this. Yep, here he is. Okay. Right, this is the trade that we're actually doing right now. Here's our entry. Here's our stop. Let's put this right on top of each other. As they came up right to our ideal level right in here. And that's probably I see more often than not I will wait for that I'll mark the entry and wait for it to pull back. If I have these gaps, when it pulls back to the gaps, then I would take a limit order or a wait for it to go up and then maybe do a sell stop below the lowest wick, lowest body, and then try and get in. Yeah, so we're still coming up on the news. With over 100 Venezuelans recently deported from the U.S. collapsed, and it actually took place. It's partial and deadly earthquake. So I guess if you look at the rock, Venezuela got actually spoke, and it was that it got spoke because it literally had 2 7+ point quick happen in seconds of each other. Also, building both Venezuela and Pichon are not what they are in a lot of places that are earthquake prone. Very unfortunate. You have earthquakes that happen, especially in Latin America. And as I look through the Hercules, see, Aussie's still strong. The yen is weak. Aussie's strong. Aussie's strong. And about the middle of the road there on that one. But the Aussie is strong right now. I'm seeing what would be the best one to trade against the Aussie, being that's the strongest one. And it looks like the yen and the British pound would be a good possibility. Let's see, let me get this back to British US. So here's my two charts. Here's my British US, and then this is my British trade. Still waiting on that. Still moving in the right direction ultimately. And the Aussie, and the CAD just got strong. Let's go Aussie yen. Let's take a look at the Aussie yen. I always put my yen pairs on 2 decimal. Now you can see with this one, it is trading up. The Aussies has been strong pretty much all morning. We do have a nice little spread here. Make that a 5. Make this a 1. So it is tradable at that point. Although we're coming up into supply, it's got pretty long range to the dots in the ribbon. If I were to take this thing long, which I do not want to do, it's right up here in that supply zone. If I put a 1 hour supply zone in, see where that's at. It's right in the 1 hour. This is really your range. I'd be more apt to wait for a pullback, take it short. Now this gave us a buy signal right in here on the 1 hour, but that's not what we're looking at. We want the strength of the Aussie, so we do a just check and see for our ranges. 17 and 14. We'd want to be getting in down right around in this area before we took it long. Or if it broke this area, then we could, if it broke this area here, then we'd have room to the upside. Right now, it's just not confirming enough. Plus, it's very close to the 8:30 news time. Plus, we have the 9:30 U.S. market open. Again, if you're looking at this as I would be looking at it, we had a buy signal right here. That would have been at the close of this candle. That would have been the ideal entry. If we were going long with it, we would have had a 14 pip stop, first 10 pip target. It hit the target. Stop would not have been challenged. Aussie still showing strength. And then that would have been a nice little trade. And you would have been able to get your, see, I think we've got our 17 pips. Actually gone 30 pips on this one so far. But the fact it's so far out of the chute right now, I would not want to be taking that long up in this area, especially when it's coming up into this supply zone. These are trades I like the best, where they cross over, the ribbon's still below the dots to get the close above. Even like this candle right here. This was a nice candle. The only thing I didn't like about it was we had actually it was a 7, the close of that candle. We've had a 7-3 spread, which was not great. Move it over till we get 7-4 right there. So this candle would have been, we didn't quite get the bubble yet on that, but this would have been a qualifying candle in my mind where that candle closed. That would be the open. Again, you would not have even touched come close to your stop, and you have hit your 17 pip target. But that was at 2 o'clock in the morning if you were up. And that's all during the European session. It was interesting while I was over in Germany. I'd be up around, it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, which is 3 o'clock East Coast time here. And I would see some good trades between 9 and 10 o'clock. Oftentimes I would be able to get in and out during that time period, which would have been like 3 o'clock in the morning here. Like this trade here would have been about 8 o'clock. So this would have been 9 o'clock in the morning in Europe. You can see that would have been a nice little area. That's a nice little time frame to be trading. That's when their markets are opening up. But this trade's still hanging in there. Still nothing to be panicking about or worrying about. We're coming up on the news. We'll see what happens when the news hits. It's Canadian news, so it shouldn't really. I wouldn't be I would not be expecting a real violent price action on it when for the Canadian or for the British pound, US dollar. This was during the second, this was Trump. Basically, at the end of Obama's first part of Trump's book. Okay. So yeah, man, I'm not surprised. And with Politico, and the dollar still showing strength with the British pound. Unless I missed it. Okay, no, I'm sorry. It's at the very, very end of the article. And it is one paragraph. Well, okay, shortly after 1 a.m. on Tuesday, 2022, a taxi pulled up on Arch Street in Chase, Maryland, in front of the home of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Where a man, so they get a man. So I looked clear there. I didn't think they did, but I just saw it there. Yeah. You can see the Canadian dollar is getting stronger as we're getting closer and closer to that news announcement. Yen is still weak. Aussie is weak on that. Yen is still weak to the Canadian. Dollar is still strong. So, yeah, none of this was surprising. All right, 888-934-7874 and on the show. Check this out. A Hurricane Charlotte is undergoing a name change because they want to be more progressive. Myers Park Baptist Church is no longer. The 83-year-old church has voted to rename itself to Myers Park Baptist Church following a vote this month by a congregation of 800 plus members deciding at this very progressive church that the use of the word Baptist is unnecessary. Historically, the name has become a very. You notice for this one, the Aussie yen, you can see where it's not really building those fair value gaps I was talking about. Now, there's a real little one right in through here. But that's about it. There's these are some Sherlock zones. a little gap right here, bullish gap, but it's coming right up into that supply zone. And they weren't overly strong. And we have about 10 more minutes before the news. You see our trade is starting to work out a little bit as we get closer to that news announcement. There's that 15-minute bullish gap is starting to take that out. We'll see if it can close below that. That should take that, clean that gap out if it can get it closed below. It's real possible we could get another sell alert on this British US right about at the news time. And we're about right now, we're break even, just a little bit going on to being positive. There we go. And let's see if we can get our 10 pips, then we move our stop to a 7 pip. And I'm going to, whoever 10 pip set, I'm going to change this to a 7 pip stop. And that way, if we get our first position closed out, then I'll move my stop down to the 7 pip profit margin for the other 75% of the position. More often than not, that position will get stopped out, but at least you get 7 pips out of the trade. But if it gets a good strong move down and keeps on going, then you get your 17.5. And about another 5 more minutes before the news. It looks like we're going to get a close below that bullish gap up here. And that will eliminate that. Then you can take that off and you can see where we may get another bearish gap. And keep an eye on the spread on this as this trade goes. As this news comes out, watch the spread. Hot up here. I have 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. There's our news announcement. Look at the spread. Spread's still holding pretty good. You can see not a lot of real violent, at least not yet, price action. And so right now, this is where the gap is closing. We'll see how far this bullish candle goes up. So right now we have two levels. We have a gap here, and we have a gap up here. Now this one did close a little bit more right in there. That's as high as that one's closed. And like I said, if we can get our first 10 pips out, then we move our stop. Once we get this one closed out with 10 pips, we'll move the stop at the bottom of the screen, which is 7 pips. Still have a good spread here with Hercules. We're still above the 5 and still hanging right around the 1. We got the 0 and 6 spread. The spread's good. News is gone. We'll move that out of the way. So we did get the close below this gap, so we can close that out. That one's no longer in effect. Check over here to the left. And just see there's a lot of wickiness going on right in that area. Put Sherlock on and see if, and you've got right here, it's our Sherlock zone. If you put down, did not close in. But we're in the trade. We're going to hold the trade till either gets our target or stops us out, or it gives us a reason to reverse positions. We have a lot of demand zones down here, so we could have a problem getting through all this. Backed by our exceptional service guarantee. Visit DRS.com/Durham/radio for details, terms and conditions. Years of early morning, every weekend, every holiday, all for one dream: to play the LPGA Tour. She finally turned pro. Now she just needs a stage worthy of her talent. There's a little bit of a demand zone right there off the 15-minute. For her journey at techgolf.com/support. That's nsxdgolf.com. Play it forward. Got to try the music. Just ask chat. I just take the green out. Or you can trust your gut. But if that's your house, I think that's with you. That's clarified. And it's still showing a 5-0 spread, so still saying that the British pound is still weak and the dollar is still strong. But it's going to have a little bit of rebar. It's got to get through this area right here, which could be a challenge. And the fact that we didn't get a really good fill, it did pull back and it's bouncing right about where we got in last time. I think if it comes up and breaks through this gap area, I think I'll just close it straight out. It bounced off of a demand zone, it bounced off of a supply zone, and right now it's sort of trapped in between this high and this low down here. It's got to break through the low and it's got to break through the high. But there is a lot of range to the upside, but there's not giving us any signal to take a long. Yeah, this was a news scandal. This was pretty much the news scandal. And also, you're looking at see where the better entry would have been. We would have hit our target. So just the fact we had such a long gap between for the entry, that's may not make this trade to be a real good choice. But I said up here, if it came back up here, this would have been a nice little trade right there to take that second position, that dollar cost average, and been profitable on that. But we'll see. So far, it has not closed above this. We don't get a close above the midpoint on this gap right here. So we're still going to give us some breathing room. Right now, it's pretty neutral. All right, now this gap did get closed, but didn't close above it. And while we're waiting on this, let's look through Hercules, see how things have changed. Right now, we see the New Zealand dollar is strong. British pound, again, the British pound is still weak, so we're still in the right direction as far as strength for the pound. Dollar is still strong. I'm not a real big fan of trading the New Zealand dollar. I'd like the Aussie a lot better when it comes to that side of the world. somebody who's here from another country, but they documented these street trucks, and they're all run by people from the same areas of the Middle East. Seem to be reporting wonderful people from Boston, and it's the very definition of an organized criminal thing that's going on over there. If I get a flip of the British pound order here, I may pull this trade, especially as we get closer to the 9:30 time frame. And have found a productive and positive life here in America, and God bless. The problem also is that you have a bunch of people that come from places where standing is kind of the norm, and then they tend to get into the thing. Because it's a path of least resistance. I mean, this is what you're seeing up there in Minneapolis. To a lesser extent, these food trucks here. And I don't know why, but there's something that makes me say that particular thing. Like, here's a car. I'm not implying that these guys are here to meet me. By the way, they're probably here to steal. And rather than trying to do something positive, they're all in this corrupt thing, scam you out of money, to scam the taxpayers out of money for the taxes should be paid, and potentially give you a serious illusion if you're not rich making dairy products, which, by the way, they did get into one of these trucks that they found that most of the dairy was covered in gold. So they were just scraping it off. So we still did not get the crossover of the strength of the dollar versus the British pound. I said the biggest concern I have is the fact, and again, you don't want to just let the charts tell you what you're looking at, but you did have a bounce into a demand zone. We have 15-minute demand zone right here, bounce into that. We also have this strong extended range candle that came back up to retest the wick. Just about closed the gap. Not quite, but it rejected off that wick. This gap area is still holding strong. Our stop is still above it. The biggest question I have right now is if we're going to get the downward pressure to be able to break through this supply zone. And you can see it wasn't able to penetrate through the bottom. So I'm not going to give this thing a whole lot of wiggle room here between now and 9 o'clock. So he's the other guy who does it there. But it's interesting. So they go back, they pull a bunch of like suspect police there watching this thing. Like when the Timberwolves down like 9, it was like 3 seconds left in the game. They were just going to inbound. So any other situation that inbound is done, it's just easily pull the inbound, run, roll full speed. Nobody's trying to stop him. He's going to do it 3 seconds. He dunks. And he drops a 7-point dunk. Right, this team's still long. The line on the team is 8.5 points. That point thing. And when you see that video, you can't convince me otherwise that he was trying to do that. There is no reason for anyone to run down and try to know that CrossFit. Hell, most people think that's on sports ball at that point. The other guy's going to try for it, and you can tell every other player on the court seemed really surprised. So it looks like that if you put a gun in my hand, I'd say that's what it's happening there, but there are way too many examples. And it's no problem. I will be a coach, 5 players and coach now, and some assistant coaches. And the investigation goes on. And one thing, we have a few choices here. We still have the ribbon coming down. We still have the dots coming down on this. So right now it's still showing bearish. Biggest question is if we want to let it go all the way up to take our stop out, or if we want to just try and get a little better entry. Right now, it's still coming up to retest the main entry level. In fact, the British pound is still showing weakness, so it's going to be reason to hang into this trade. You can see with the Hercules, as you can see, the dollar is starting to show a little bit of strength, and the British pound still leveling off as being weak. This gap right here did close above that gap area, so that this gap is no longer valid. This one's still holding. Oh yeah, one thing I want to tell everybody, just for your own information, that trading for the 4th of July week, TradingView is having their 80% sale. So if you haven't subscribed to TradingView or you're looking to subscribe to TradingView, this is an excellent time to do it. You get 80% you can get up to 80% off your yearly subscription. And if you have a subscription already and you know you're going to be running out here between now and perhaps the next sales event, which could probably be as late as possibly Labor Day, but more than likely, usually over Black Friday, over around Thanksgiving time, they have a sale, and this would be a good time to do it if you're inclined to make that happen. I said they just added on to your current time, so if you have a lot of time left and you want to extend it, now's an excellent time. Just to let you know. This thing's like watching grass grow, but usually about 9 o'clock I'll probably close this room down. Keep an eye on your trades if you're still in this trade. And we'll see how this thing plays out. And we'll just keep on watching some of these things as the morning goes on. But as we get into summertime, I try and get outside a little bit earlier before the heat comes in. It's going to get hot again today, I believe. So I hope everybody's having a good trading month. I said this is the end of the month. Today's the last day of the month. So a lot of times you get a lot of profit taking that you'll see in the beginning for July. We got the 4th of July weekend coming up. So things are probably people are going to start taking off a little bit early, and markets could be a little bit squirrely for the next few days, or at least until after the holiday. But I'll be here again tomorrow morning, and we'll just see how things go, see how this trade works out. I'm not going to give this thing a whole lot of wiggle room. If I start seeing that the British pound starts getting strong, gets the dollar as we approach the 9 o'clock, 9:30 time frame, I may just pull this trade. And like I said, the better entry on this thing would have been, rather than being down here, the better entry would have been up here. If you could see that, we would have gotten our 10 pips, and we probably would have gotten stopped out with the 7, but we'd be out of this trade. This thing almost went to, by the time we got the entry, which was on this candle right here, and the entry was right this right here. You can see we almost um, we almost had the 10 pips from the ideal entry. We almost got to the target before we even got into this trade. And usually when you start getting breakouts like that, it's sometimes, unless you can catch it pretty early on, you better just wait for it to close out and wait for it to retrace. So this is a little bit of a wick over wick area. Here's the wick. There's the higher wick. And so we had a little drop, a little basing. But we'll see. We'll just be patient. We are approaching 9 o'clock. It looks like this scale is going to close into our favor. And you say we'll see if we can get that 10 pips out of here. And with that, it's now 9 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and close this room down. Keep an eye on your trades if you're still in it. I'm going to hang in there for at least a little while still and see what happens, see how it bounces, see if we can break through this area. Like I said, the British pound is still showing the zero. We're showing with the dollar getting stronger, heading up to the 5 and 6 area. So right now, it's still, it looks like it could still end up being a profitable trade. We're just having to take our patience. So with that, everybody take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.